Om. 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Arthada, would you do the uh, invocation, please?
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing. Parthaya pratibodhitam bhagavata narayanino shayam vaishnakrititam puranamanina madhye mahabharatam advaitamito gorhinim bhagavatim astadashadhainim अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवदेशिनीम् नमस्तुते वैश्वविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन तया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितज्ञानमय प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तत्र वित्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषद्गावदुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थवत्सुधीर्भुक्ता दुग्धम् गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटजयद्रथोजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेनो बेला कुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी क्षत्तिर्ना खलु पाण्डवैरननदी कैवर्तककेशवः पराशर्यवच शरजं मालम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानक्यनक्केशरहरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भुवद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलवृद्धं शून्यप्रियते मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुता स्तुन्नन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषद् गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानवस्थिततद्गतेन पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यशन्तं न विदुषुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Hari Om. Firstly, Parthada, you have a unique tune which you use for chanting the invocation. And today you even changed that also. So you had a very new tune. And I was very much reminded of Virendra Krishna Padra. I don't know if you know of him. He used to be the anchor for the chanting of the Durga Shabd of the Chandi,
Durga
when
Puja.
yes,
Ah,
on Mahalaya morning, and when I used to grow up in South Calcutta, this used to be a live session. So at that time there was no recording. This used to be live, and we used to see at 3 o'clock in the morning. They used to take a bath, and these all of these people used to live around our area. All these actors, actresses, I mean the singers. Hemanta Mukherjee used to live almost next door. So we used to see them having taken a bath, wearing crisp new clothes. They would all go to All India Radio to sing the Chandi. I was very much reminded of that. So thank you.
Actually, I want to tell you something. It is incredible that you immediately caught the difference. But I tell you the background. I was reading, somebody gave to my son Yathartha Gita by
Okay.
Argarananda, Swami
Yes.
Argarananda. And I was reading that, and there was a small, USB thing. In that, entire chanting office is there. So
Mm.
he uses this chanting, and I liked it very much. So I thought I will try it out. And today you told me to do, so I took the opportunity.
Okay. So
Yeah.
anyway, I always say this: there are no coincidences in life. So anyway,
Yeah.
so let us start with the Manan of verse number 28. That was the homework. Pramila ji, we start with you today. You have to unmute.
I was sort of going through the whole thing. It's like a step by step. We start with the clean slate, and then we have to perform the action. And in this, he says that ultimately we have to surrender completely, renunciation of fruits of action. And then, also have your mind always focused on God, even while performing your swadharma. And that's when you get released from the bondage of life and death also.
Okay. So what is this Shubha, Ashubha?
Shubha, Ashubha, I feel that, if you perform desire-driven actions, even if they are noble, they lead to Shubha Phala. I mean, you keep coming back. You go to the heavenly abodes and keep coming back. Whereas, and of course, the Ashubha Phala is when you're performing with self-interest in mind completely.
Okay.
And desire-driven.
Okay.
Leads to Ashubha Phala, is what I thought.
Okay. Parthuda, any thoughts?
Yeah, first Anita will say, then I will add mine.
Okay.
I just thought like this, that here Lord Krishna is talking about the Jnani Bhakta, who is Jivan Mukta already. He is free from karma and karmafal and all sansara problems. So in this life only he is enjoying his moksha. And coming to me, that is Mamu Paishaishi, that means he is telling that travel towards your inner self and try to understand Aham Brahmasmi. That's what I thought. Krishna is not the mom here. He is talking about the Atma, his own Atma. That's what I felt.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
Parthuda.
So you gave 4 questions. And the first one, the moment he talked about actions and Shubha, Asubha, Phalam. Phalam is nothing but the result of the action. So immediately I went to chapter 3 on Karma Yoga. Of course, the essence is that you do your work without expectation of the result, that we have all learned there. But then I went to chapter 2, and I actually, all the 4 questions, I got a lot of answers in chapter 2 itself when we were going through. For example, in verse 38, I saw that Lord Krishna asking Arjuna to engage in battle, treating alike pain and pleasure, gain and loss, victory and defeat. And he said, thereby Arjuna will not incur any sin. So he already touched on this to Arjuna, that you don't get dejected, you do your work, leave the results aside, you do your action. So we learned it there itself, whether phala is Shubha or Ashubha, it should not tempt us. And another thing is that anticipating the result of the action is not justified when the very action we are offering to the Lord. We are offering to the lotus feet of the Lord, the very action we are doing in total devotion, in total surrender. So the actions are also not ours. Action is also of the Lord.
Okay.
So this is to the first question. To the second question, what is moksha from bondage of work? In fact, from the answer to the first question, from the first prescription, it leads us to a total freedom or moksha from the bondage of our actions. And to attain this moksha, basically, we have to be free from the bondage of our ego first. I think ego is something which is keeping us attached to the fruits of the action. And so if we can get over this concept of doership, that I am doing, the moment we are able to get out of that doership thing, then this ownership vanishes, and we also become free and attain moksha. Again, I am getting some similarity, some answer in verse 39 of chapter 2, where Krishna gave this self-knowledge to Arjuna to help him break through the bondage of karma. Second. Third, you said, what is meant by being steadfast in the yoga of renunciation? So here, being steadfast, the interpretation is being even-minded in success and failure, and that equilibrium is yoga. So the moment one attains that equilibrium, he is said to be in yoga. And Lord Krishna again talked about this in verse 48 of chapter 2. In particular, being steadfast demands one not to waver from his determination or resolve to tread this path of detachment. It is not that today I feel I am detached, tomorrow again I am getting attached, or I get attached to some actions of mine and some other actions I get detached. It is not that way. All the actions I should do with same equanimity. And the last question, what is this need to reach him and how to reach? To that, the answer is, here literally the meaning is that we should reach Lord Krishna. Him is Lord Krishna. But I think the emphasis is on discovering for oneself the divinity within. The divinity within is not any external reaching, it is reaching one's own divinity. To merge with the Brahman state, one's own Brahman state. And in simpler terms, as we have learned, it should be possible to overcome in this process the cycle of birth and death. So that's all is my answer.
So
in 8:14 also he talks about, in 8:14 also he talks about how do you attain me.
Yeah.
So Veena-ji, do you have any thoughts here? So Veena-ji, the part of this class you have to do manan. You have to come back with your thoughts, right? You cannot escape.
I did that, but I related this Shubha Shubha shloka to the earlier shloka. In that he explains that whatever your way of doing pujas or whatever karma you are doing, so once you surrender with me and all your Shubha Shubha and everything it is, I will only take care of this. It comes to me only, that this much I understand.
Okay, so all these interpretations make sense, But first and foremost, where does this concept of Shubha and Ashubha in us? Where is that concept? Where does this concept of Shubha and Ashubha reside?
In our understanding, what we like is Shubha, what we don't like is Ashubha.
Desires.
No, there are
Our
two
own
different things.
interpretation.
There are
No,
two
what
different
gives
words.
good result is Shubha. What doesn't give good result is Ashubha.
Now see this. Result is in the body. Result is in the body. Liking is in the mind. Understanding is in the intellect. Now you are using all three.
Yes.
Krishna is very specific. Shubha, Ashubha is a judgment.
Yeah.
It is a judgment, right? That judgment is based on Sthan, Kal, Patra, Vishay, etc., etc. Right? What I feel is Shubha right now, next day it may become completely Ashubha. Example, why did the Mahabharat war happen? Why did the Mahabharat war happen? Any answer?
Why did not happen?
Duryodhana wanted to grab. Dhrtarashtra took the sides of Duryodhana.
Now I'll give you a very different answer, and I'll say the Duryodhana, the war happened because Devvrat became Bhishma.
Okay. Yes.
If Devvrat had said that my father's lust is unseemly, and if he wants to be running after a young woman at his age, he can go and do that. Let him give up the crown. I will take the reins of the kingdom for the benefit of the kingdom, not my personal benefit. I will do it because of the kingdom, and I will take it up. Had he said that, would we have had Mahabharat war? But when he took that vow, what happened? Even the Devas said, "Oh, what a beautiful, what a strong man, what a fantastic, terrible vow he has taken." And they showered flowers on him and they gave him the name Bhishma. Even the gods did not understand what is the consequence of this. Karmano gahano gatihi, Krishna says, isn't it? He says the ways of karma are so deep that we cannot understand where they are going to, what consequences they will come up with. So what is Shubha, what is Ashubha is an intellectual. It is from our intellect. So we always have that story, isn't it? That minister, he and the king were going, and the king, he drew his bow and arrow for killing a deer, but the bowstring snapped. When the bowstring snapped, it cut his left thumb. The left thumb got snapped, and half of the left thumb got cut off. The minister was with him. The minister said, "Jo hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai." Now, when that happened, the king got extremely irritated, found an old dry well, took this minister and pushed him inside. Minister, while falling, he said, "Jo hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai." Now the king was without any retinue. He had no armor. He had no arms. And he got surrounded by a bunch of tribals who said, "We are going to do human sacrifice." They took him there. They tied his hands. While they were tying his hands, the chieftain said, "Re, iska to angutha nahi hai." Pashu for a bali has to be complete. This is an inadequate pashu. Release him. So he said, "Fine," released him. He went there and he said, "Oh, my minister, I'm so sorry. I should not have pushed you." So he said, "Jo hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai." Then, but what was good about me pushing you inside? See, if you had not pushed me inside, they would have caught me. And I am a whole pashu. They would have sacrificed me. What is Shubha? What is Ashubha? Our intellect plays tricks on us. And because of these tricks, we get tied down to the consequences of our karma. when we overcome our intellect. Now remember, intellect is superior to the manas. Manas is superior to the body. So if I have overcome my intellect, which means I have gone beyond judgment, then my body and my manas are also no longer going to trick me. And therefore, the outcome of karma will always be there. You cannot escape karma. Krishna has very clearly said that, right? In chapter 2 and 3, he has said that you will continuously, as long as you have a physical body, you will do karma. Even to the extent that he says that what does the yogi do? He says, ashnan, swapan, right? Jigran. So Visrajan, he talks about the yogi in doing all the mundane things. There will always be karma. What are we tied down to? We are tied down to our expectation. We are tied down to our regret. We live in the future, we live in the past. In that whole process of living in the past and future, we get freed from that. And therefore, what happens? We live in the present moment. Such a person is called a sannyasa yoga yuktatma. Such a person who is living in the present moment, such a person who is living in the now is a sannyasa yoga yuktatma. He has given up expectations and regrets. He has no expectations. He has no regrets. Asha pasha. He is freed from the pasha. Pasha means nose. Asha pasha. He has been vimukta from the asha pasha. Such a person is a sannyasa yoga yuktatma. And having done that, where do you go? You go to that ultimate me. You come to me. Now, obviously, as I have said, chapters 8 and 9 are interpretable through the Dvaita method also. So when they say, come to me, it could be, if you are looking at the Sri Vaishnava tradition, then they will say, come to me will mean you will go to Vaikuntha. Right? Or you are looking at the Shaiva Siddhanta, they will say, come to me will mean Kailasha. If you are looking at ISKCON, they will say, come to me means you will go to Goloka Vrindavan. If you are looking at Advaita Vedanta, they are saying, come to me will mean Krishna cannot be talking of me because he has already said that that me is unmanifest. He has said that in this chapter itself, Avyakta to Vyakta, Vyakta to Avyakta. So that Avyakta, in chapter 8, he very clearly declares this place to be Avyakta, isn't it? In chapter 8, he said, beyond the Brahma Loka also there is a place. That place is Avyakta. Now, if it is a place, it cannot be Avyakta. So, he is using a terminology which we can understand. So, here he says, this Avyakta me is where you come to. See, what happens? Let me explain this from a very different perspective. Let us take a Mahavakya. Aham Brahmasmi is what you just now said, Pramilaji. Right? Now, I cannot hold on to Aham Brahmasmi. So that is a very interesting story. So Swami Nirvikalpananda, right? You can imagine from the name itself. Swami Nirvikalpananda. In one of his talks, he is saying, one young disciple said, ye Aham Brahmasmi ko pakad ke rakhna hai. So Swamiji says, Swami Nirvikalpananda says, उसी को तो छोड़ना है, उस पकड़ने को ही तो छोड़ना है. So even holding on to Aham Brahmasmi by sitting and saying Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, yes, it is a japa. And what does a japa do? Japa will help us to calm our mind, close our mind, decondition our mind. But what is the mind? Mind meaning manas and buddhi together. What is our mind? It is nothing but a reflection of the Supreme Consciousness. Correct? It is a reflector. So when I am seeing something, for example, I am seeing this particular video right now. I am seeing the recording going on. I am seeing that there are some people sitting here. What is this act of seeing? The physical act of seeing, I am not talking. Physical act of seeing is very understood, right? There is light, there is photon, there is neuron, all that. But what is it actually that I am seeing? Science doesn't know. I'm making a very bold declaration. You can check this out. Science does not understand the act of seeing, because seeing will also mean perceiving. It will also mean understanding. So I can see that somebody is wearing a black dress, somebody is wearing a purple dress, somebody is wearing a red dress, right? I am identifying, I am understanding. How am I doing that? I am doing that because my mind is taking that light from consciousness, and it is reflecting. It is reflecting, right? The mind itself has no consciousness. It is reflecting. It is like the Chandrama. If you remember chapter 8, it said, if you go by the path of the sun, you will go to Brahmaloka. If you go to the path of the moon, you will go to Pitraloka. And you will come back. Remember? Now, this was not literal. Here you can understand this. My manas is a reflector, like the Chandrama. Very powerful, right? The Chandrama is very powerful. It reflects the light of the sun. But there has to be the sun first. And only that sun's light reflected through the Chandrama is conscious, is illuminating what I am seeing right now. Now, when I turn that inward, then where does this light, reflected light, go? Back to the sun. Back to the sun. Think of a solar eclipse. Think of a solar eclipse. What has happened in the solar eclipse? The Chandrama has come in between the earth, which is the material world, and the sun. And the sun is now reflecting on that Chandrama. But where is that reflected light going? Back to the sun. And what happens to the material world? It goes into darkness. It becomes irrelevant. It becomes completely unnecessary. That is the meaning of turning inward. When we talk about turning inward, we keep on using the word turning inward. That is the meaning of turning inward. Turning ourselves to that divine consciousness rather than reflecting. Our mind, manas, is all the time reflecting. It is all the time reflecting. But instead of reflecting outward into what the sense organs are giving you, if it reflects it back inward, that is that point where that thing has clicked and the person has become a sannyasa yoga yukta. That is the meaning of this. It's a very deep verse. It needs a lot of manan, continuous manan, to be able to understand. Should we move on to the next verse?
So it is more of giving up the doership.
That is automatic, isn't it? Giving up the doership happened all a long time back, Lalita ji. It happened in chapter 5. We are already in chapter 9.
Yeah,
so here
that's
it is.
true.
So the whole concept is one. You can reach chapter 9 only after you have given up doership. You can't reach chapter 9 directly. So you have already given up doership.
Yeah.
Despite that, I have understood what this is. I am not there are two possibilities here. One is, this is too tough, I am not understanding it. This is too tough, I am not understanding it. Asambhavana bhava. It is called, it is actually given, right? There is a beautiful text, incidentally, those of you who are interested, Vedanta Sara. Vedanta Sara you can read. If you read Vedanta Sara, you will find all these technical terms also. So, asambhavana bhava. Why? It is too difficult for me. So what should you do? You should keep coming back and keep listening to Gurudev's videos. You should keep reading the text and explanations given by realized masters. And you should keep on doing that study. Study here is important. Right? And that asambhavana bhava changes. Then you say, I have understood it. But despite understanding it, my mind is still living in the future and the past. When I am sitting here in the lecture with you, I am very much here. And it is so joyful. But the moment this lecture ends, I am thinking of the Rasagulla. Where did that Rasagulla go? Or why did I not get that Rasagulla? Regrets and expectations. This is called Viparita Achara Bhava. Opposing tendencies.
Mhm.
Opposing
Mhm.
tendencies. My opposing tendencies, I have understood it. But it is not becoming me. It is not an experiential reality for me. Now what do I do? Now here is the trick. The trick is, it is called Advaitic meditation. What is Advaitic meditation? Advaitic meditation is not sitting and doing japa. Advaitic meditation is called vichara. Questioning. Questioning. Vichara. Continuous questioning. Who is that experiencer? Sitting down and experiencing. Oh, when I went away from this class and I got entangled, who was getting entangled? It was not me. It was not me. It was my manas. It was my buddhi. It was my sharira. It was not me. I've got back. So this keeps on happening. This is called Advaitic Manan. But Advaitic Manan cannot happen unless the mana is sthira. So for making the mana sthira, what is the method? Advaita, what it does is, it absorbs all the other methodologies. It says, okay, now you choose the methodology that helps you to make your mana sthira. You want to do Bhakti Yoga? Please, go ahead, do it. You want to do Raja Yoga? Do it. You want to do Patanjali Yoga? Do it. You want to do Nama Sankirtana? Do it. You want to do Mantra Japa? Do it. All of these are processes to help you to purify your mind from vasanas, calm down the mind to sit down and be a proper reflector of the divine consciousness. And then you sit down in Advaitic Manan. When you sit down in Advaitic Manan and do this vichara, oh, I got trapped into some entanglement with my office. I got trapped into some entanglement with my house. I got trapped into some discussion with my neighbors. And then you go back and say, who was experiencing this? Who is it who was experiencing this? And then you say, fine, oh, but I was so enjoying that beautiful meal that happened. You know, these people, they came and did, oh, such a nice meal. They give so much respect to me. Do you know how Swami Shivananda used to treat being respected? Swami Shivananda is Gurudev's Diksha Guru, Divine Life Mission, Rishikesh. He used to be, obviously, he had become very famous, right? Because of his hospital and so much of social work that he was doing. So a lot of people used to come and they used to give him some samman, garland him and give him clothes. And the moment that function would get over, he would go inside the room and he would lock himself up. So one day people were very curious. And they said, let me find out what is it that he does. So they peeped and they found that he had taken a slipper and he was hitting himself hard, very hard. So people broke down the door. They went inside and said, Swamiji, what is this? What is this that you are doing? So he said, actually, I'm trying to examine, is there a difference that happens to me when I am being garlanded or being whacked by slippers? Because to me, there is no difference. Nothing is happening. Anything that is happening is happening to the body, mind, intellect. It's a very that to reach that stage of Advaitic Vichara, we have to learn how to first stabilize our mind. And that is why I keep saying, please sit for 5 minutes and do your soham. Right, let us do the next verse. Samoham sarva bhuteshu, samoham sarva bhuteshu, na me dveshyosti na priyaha, na me dveshyosti na priyaha, samoham sarva bhuteshu, na me dveshyosti na priyaha, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham mayi te teshu chapyaham ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham samoham sarva bhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyah ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. Samaha, being equal. Samaha. Aham, I, sarva bhuteshu, all living beings. I am equal to all living beings. Na, no one. Me, me. Dveshyaha is an enemy, has dvesha, as enemy. Asti is na, not. Priyaha, dear. Ye, those. Bhajanti, those who worship, those who do bhajan, those who worship. Tu, but. Mam, me. Bhaktya, with devotion. Mai, in me. Te, such persons. Teshu, in them. Cha, and api, also. Aham, I. Which means, what he says is, I am equal to all living beings. I'm equal to all living beings. I am neither an enemy, nor am I partial to anyone. So the divine is very clear here. Divine consciousness is there in everything. It cannot be an enemy to say, oh, that is a scorpion. I refuse to be conscious in that scorpion. The moment that happens, the scorpion is dead. The physical thing called scorpion is no more because consciousness has left it. So as long as it is a physical thing called a scorpion, it has consciousness. Consciousness has no enmity with scorpions, snakes, you, me, or any other being. So here is very clear. I am completely impartial. But, now he says, but, however, those who worship me with love, those who worship me, bhajanti, those who worship me, I reside in them, they reside in me. I live in them, they live in me. Now here the live means they are aware. They are aware of me. They who are worshipping me, they who realize that I am the divine consciousness permeating through everything, they are aware of me. That is why they worship me. When they worship me, they worship everything in this world. Such a person is also samadrishti, having samadrishti. Right? We saw that what is a yogi behave like? A swamadrishti yogi, he says that a Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, right? Remember that shloka? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, the Brahmin, the cow, the elephant, the dog, and the dog eater. All of them, Shwascha Shwapakescha. So all of these are looked at with equanimity. Why? Because it is the same consciousness in everything. Remember Manisha Panchakam? Right? We talked about it. Manisha Panchakam. Acharya was going to the river, and there was the Chandal who came in front of him. And the Chandal asked him, what do you want to be removed? Now, later on, the hagiographers have glorified this and said, though Chandal was nothing but Shiva came here in the form of a Chandal to teach Acharya lesson and so on and so forth. Let's not get there. The idea, Acharya in his Manisha Panchakam does not say that. Right? In his own work, he does not say that it was, I got training by Shiva came and did some mentoring for me. Nothing of that sort. It was a physical Chandala who came. However, the Chandal had that clear clarity of vision which said that the Panchabhuta is the same and the Atman is also the same. The Panchabhuta and the Atman are the same. Yudhishthira, there is a version of the Mahabharata, I don't remember which version, but it's a beautiful story. It says that, and it's a very apt story. It says that the pyres, the funeral pyres were all burning. Kurukshetra war had ended and the funeral pyres were all burning. And Yudhishthir was sitting, and it very beautifully describes the physical aspect of Yudhishthir. So he was sitting with his knees drawn up, his hands clasped around his knees, and his head on his knees, and he was weeping. So Krishna came and sat down next to him and asked him, "What are you weeping for?" So Yudhishthir's first answer was about the people who are of his earlier generation. So he started with Bhishma, and he recited a whole list of names, right? And in Mahabharata, there is nothing, no shortcuts. So when somebody starts talking, they talk a lot, right? So when he gives the list of names, he starts with Bhishma and he goes on to everybody who was in one generation above. So up to Drupad and everybody. So Krishna says, yes, of course, they have all died. But I don't understand. Why are you crying? So then Yudhishthir starts reciting another list of names, which is his generation, starting with Karna, who was the eldest, right? Of his generation, Karna was the eldest because he was older to Yudhishthir, right? So Karna was the oldest. And he gives a whole list of people of his generation who died. So Krishna says, yes, they have all died. But why are you crying? So now he says, he gives a whole list of the generation next to him, starting with Abhimanyu, who is the oldest of the next generation, right? And the whole list, including Duryodhan's son and so on and so forth, a big list of names of young children who have died. So Krishna says, yes, they have all died, but why are you crying? Now Yudhishthir's mental bulb goes up and says, if Krishna is asking the same question 3 times, there must be some meaning. So he says, Krishna, what are you meaning? Why are you asking me this same question again and again? So Krishna says, I haven't understood why you are crying, because what died was the Panchabhuta, which has got merged into the Panchabhuta, which is the same as yours and mine. And what did not die is that eternal consciousness, which is the same between you and me and all those who died. So what are you crying for? And Yudhishthir apparently shakes off his grief and gets into work. And then that is the prelude. So then Krishna says, fine, now that you have overcome your immediate grief, let us go to Bhishma and let us understand how to become a good ruler. And then there are 2 large parvas that happen over there. One is called the Anushasana Parva and the second is called the Shanti Parva. And 2 long lectures. And Vishnu Sahasranama, incidentally, is a part of the Shanti Parva where Bhishma recites the entire Vishnu Sahasranama for the benefit of the people who are listening. So this is the prelude to the Anushasana Parva and the Shanti Parva. This divine consciousness that is in there in everything, which is neither an enemy nor is it is partial, is the essence of Advaitic darshan. Yes, Raghuji. If you are in a situation where you can talk, please do. Otherwise, you can send a message.
Yeah. Okay.
No. We are not. No, we are not able to. We are not able to hear. We are not able to hear. We are not. We are not able to hear.
Okay. I will type the message. I will type.
Yeah, I think it will be better if you can type out your message, because we definitely could not hear anything. Okay. So that is the essence of the verse number 29. So if you look at that, it also indicates a particular thing in terms of the fact that what we perceive as differences between you and me today are all differences which are superficial. You may be physically stronger, financially richer, intellectually superior, having more learning in the subjective sciences, in the objective sciences. But those are all differences in body, mind, intellect. And that is bound to be. That is bound to be. No two beings are created equal. No two beings have come here with the same, with the exactly the same karmic load. So if we have come here with different karmic loads, we all have our own karma to play out. But at the Paramarthika Satta level, you and I are non-different. There is no difference between you and me. So I haven't had any chat message yet from Raghuji. So we will carry on with the next shloka. Verse number 30. Api chet suduracharo, api chet suduracharo, bhajate mamananya bhak, bhajate mamananya bhak, api chet suduracharo, bhajate mamananya bhak, sadhureva sa samantavyah, sadhureva samantavyah, सम्यग्व्यवसितो हि सः, सम्यग्व्यवसितो हि सः, साधुरेव समन्तव्यः, सम्यग्व्यवसितो हि सः, अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक्, साधुरेव समन्तव्यः, सम्यग्व्यवसितो हि सः. This is a very easy verse to understand. We have seen the story also earlier of the thief who was stealing from the king who was doing Satyanarayan Puja. I have talked about that story. So, in this verse, he basically says that api, even, chet, if, tu durachara. Durachara means he whose achara is bad. Tu durachara, absolutely bad. Best amongst all those who are doing bad things. Sudurachara. Right? Sudurachara. Very interesting play on words. Sudurachara. Bhajate, worship, maam, me, ananya bhak. With exclusive, ananya. Bhak here means devotion, which is the root word for bhakti. So, ananya bhak. Sadhu, righteous or good. Eva, certainly, saha, such person, mantavya, to be considered, samyak, properly, vyavasitaha, resolved, he, certainly, saha, that person. Says that if the greatest of sinners, when he Okay, now firstly, I don't know how to turn off this particular feature of Zoom. I'm sure all of us heard this Zoom related. Did everybody get that voice thing? Oh, okay, only I got it.
No. Yeah.
Okay, this is this interesting thing. I'll have to look at then how do I turn it off. It must be with me only. So I got the entire message of Raghuji recited back to me in AI voice. So anyway, his question is in the Mahabharata, in the 30th chapter of the Anushasan Parva, the entire lineage of sage Shaunaka, starting from the father of Ditsamada ending with Shaunaka is listed. This is the only Gotra lineage of the 440 Gotras followed by Brahmins today that is mentioned in the Mahabharata. Why is this? Does Shaunaka hold any special connection to Vedavyasa? Genuinely no idea. I know that this is there, but I have no idea as to why this is there. It is not, however, just a small correction. There are other Gotra lineages, not in so much detail, but given in various parts of the Mahabharata. When the story of Vishwamitra is told retold, it is first told obviously by Vasishtha in Ramayana, but when it is retold in the Mahabharata, the story of the Vishwamitra Gotra as well as the story of the Kaushika Gotra has been given. Kaushika Gotra is the Gotra of the same Rishi before he became Vishwamitra, and Vishwamitra Gotra is the Gotra of the same Rishi after he became the Brahma Rishi Vishwamitra, and so on and so forth. So such stories are given. However, the detailing is there. I know that. Never thought about it as to whether there was any special connection. We'll look into it and report. So coming back to this particular shloka, this shloka says that even if he is the vilest of sinners, he is the greatest of all duracharas. But the moment he says, I am turning inward, he is a sadhu. What is the best example of that? Best example? Yes, Bodhi, you said something. Yes.
Valmiki.
Yes.
Ratnakar to Valmiki.
Ratnakar, yes. The dacoit Ratnakar to Valmiki, right? We have similar stories, right? Angulimal from the Gautam Buddha stories, right? The moment he turns inward, he becomes a bodhisattva. The moment he turns inward, he's so vile, he's so much evil in him that he can't say the name Rama. And Narad Muni tells him, okay, don't say Rama, say Mara. Mara to bol sakta hai na? भाई लोगों को मारते हो, मरा बोलो. ठीक है, मरा बोलता हूं. तो राम 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 बोलते गया. Ratnakar bhayo Valmiki. Right? Ratnakar became Valmiki. So the vilest of sinners, when he turns inward, that turning inward is the critical moment. The critical moment in our lives. Right? We look at all these HR people, they say these words, use these words, very beautiful words. There's an inflection point in your journey of life. This inflection point, I think the most critical inflection point in our lives is when have we turned inward, when we decide enough. Punarapi Jananam is enough. And now I turn inward. That, which is that is the starting of Brahma Sutra, isn't it? Atha Brahma Sutra, Brahma Jigyasa. That is why, tired of this entire cycle, having experienced it, Atha, and tired of it, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So therefore, we move to the 31st verse. I'm intentionally doing 31st today so that in the next session, we will complete all three. And then something that I had promised, which I haven't done, which is the quizzes on 6, 7, 8, 9. So 7, 8, 9. We will do a quiz on 7, 8, 9. Chipram bhavati dharmatma. Chipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvatantim nigacchati. Shashvatantim nigacchati. Chipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvatantim nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanahi. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. Name bhakta pranashyati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. Chipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvatantim nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. Chipram, quickly. Bhavati, become. Dharmatma, an atma which is rooted in dharma. Atma here means the individual, the mind or the manas or the buddhi. Atma, not the Atman here. The Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashwat Shantim. Shashwat Shanti is a sandhi of two words here. Shashwat, which is eternal. Shanti is peace. Nigachati, attains. Kaunteya, Arjun. Prati Janihi, declaring. Now he is declaring here. Na, never, me, my, bhakta, devotee, pranashyati, perishes. My bhakta cannot die. My bhakta cannot die. Now, obviously, his bhakta can never die because his bhakta has no longer been identified with the body, mind, intellect. The bhakta now has understood and then realized two different things completely. Has understood and realized that he is nothing but the Atman. And having realized that, the loss of the body becomes an immaterial and irrelevant fact in this entire journey. And therefore, how will he die? Because he is not the body that is dying. He is not the manas which is dying. He is not the intellect which is dying. Remember, the life force. Now, if you look at the Pancha Koshas, this is very important and understand this very clearly. First kosha is the physical body, the Sthula Sharira, which is called the Annamaya Kosha. Inside the Annamaya Kosha, there is the Pranamaya Kosha. Right? Prana here is not the breath. It is also the life force. Inside that is the Manomaya Kosha, which you have to understand, therefore, that the mana is independent of the life force. The mana lives on in the form of the vasanas. It lives on. Inside that is the intellect, the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And then there is the Anandamaya Kosha. We will get into Kosha theory and look at it from Taittiriya Upanishad's point of view later on. But you have to understand here very clearly that I do not identify with any of these five. Acharya says in Nirvana Shatakam, Name Pancha Koshaha. I am not the five koshas. So very clearly here, Bhagavad Sri Krishna is also declaring that if you are my devotee, which means you have identified with the fact that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the intellect, you are that eternal divine consciousness which is Sat, eternally existing, which is Chit, which is eternally conscious, which is eternally Ananda, then how can you die? So such a person who has turned inward, Tipram Bhavati, very quickly, he attains this particular state. He reaches this particular stage. So that is where we will end today. Now, quick homework. Next verse, please, 32. Here he says that Mamhi Partha Vyapashritya Yepi Syu Papayonayaha Striyo Vaishyas Tatha Shudra Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. Why does he, my question here is, what is this Papa Yoni? What is Papa Yoni? Why does he separate out Stri, Vaishya and Shudra, putting them all together in one particular group? Why does he put them there? And what is the intent in this particular shloka? So I would like you to do your manan on this. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.